people used to ask E.L. Doctorow, who wrote these, magnificent novels that I could never hope to equal, how much research did you do? And his stock answer was, just enough. Like, just enough to get you to suspend your disbelief. I really felt like somehow through a kind of, less through talent than through a kind of learning disability, I had managed to cobble together a picture of the city out of little bits of, the detritus that people with better functioning brains than mine learn to discard. So, like, I remember I was saying earlier at this Q&A session, I remember at 5 and 6 years old, because I was kind of a precocious reader, reading Mad Magazine. And this would be like 1983 and 1984. And as anyone who's ever read Mad Magazine knows, the jokes in Mad Magazine are always 6 years out of date. So they were all jokes whose punchlines were about 1977. Mom, what is EST? What is Amway? What is Jonestown? These sorts of things. And then, the city that I'd gotten through books, the city that I'd, read about obsessively in the liner notes to the Velvet Underground box set, the city, from Woody Allen's Manhattan, which I watched at like a really inappropriate age. Like, I was younger than Mariel Hemingway in Manhattan when I saw Manhattan. And then the layers of the city that were present to me when I first visited. The first thing you would see in 97, 96, when you stepped off the bus, across the street was still the gleaming red and blue neon signs of Peepland and Peeporama, which was incredibly just exciting to me, coming from this small town where you would have never seen such a thing. And those things were, like the Nathan's hot dogs on Coney Island, were very 1977. And I just felt like I had to trust that kind of fabricated city. Like, it's not a historical novel to me. I almost thought of it as kind of science fiction. But the one trick, I think, that some writers forget to execute is that even in a novel with this many words in it, you want to leave a lot of space for the reader. Because if your wife reads this, she's going to build that streetscape much more persuasively than I can if I give her room to do it. It's a kind of like weird jujitsu trick, of like pulling back so that the reader comes in. And every world I've ever built alongside a writer, my Middle Earth, was incredibly real and persuasive to me.